Good evening, YouTube. This is Johnny. Thought I'd make a video. I say that all the time. It's like I have this intro. This is Johnny. I thought I'd make a video. It's been a couple of days. It's not been a long period of time. It's been 2 days, I think, since I made a video. I was looking on my online diary, Crooked Fingers. I can go back 21 years, and I can go back. I went back in 2016 is when I think I started making videos. And back in those days, I was making a couple of videos every week. Now I don't. Maybe once a week, once every 3 or 4 days. But it's not like I get a thrill out of making videos. But I do like to share with people out there in the world what I am reading, what I am collecting for my library, what's on my mind, what Christian books I've been reading, where I'm at in my sojourn on this earth. Today is November the 10th. 2021 is a Wednesday night. It is 6:27. It's dark out. And I'm sitting here. I say that all the time. I'm sitting here in the dining room writing in my diary. I'm on page 1147. When I was looking at my 2016 diary, online diary, I mentioned I was on page 900 and something. So I'm kind of ahead. I'm about almost 200 pages ahead than I was in 2016. So I'm writing in my diary. I'm drinking tea. Trader Joe's English breakfast tea. Trader Joe's. And I thought I'd just stop by and tell you what I'm reading tonight. As you know, I just read all over the map. I do read through certain books. I showed you I was reading through this Marked Violets by Philip Kerr, Berlin Noir. And I've been reading this. I got maybe 15 pages left. I'm not sure if I'm going to read. There's three of his crime novels in here: Marked Violets, The Pale Criminal, and The German Requiem. And I don't think I'm going to read those two. I'll just finish reading Marked Violets and go on to something else. Maybe I just wanted to read him because I've been collecting him for years, several years, and I never read him, so I just thought I might as well just read him to see what he's like. And I read this. I showed you this, Last Words on Earth by Javier Serena. Someone commented that they had bought this and they were reading it. And the reason why I got this book is it's a fictional account of the life of Roberto Bolaño, who wrote The Savage Detective, 2006, and he's written other works. I've enjoyed it. I find it very moving because Roberto Bolaño, he died of tuberculosis at the height of his fame as a writer. He was from Peru, but he lived in Mexico, he lived in Spain, he lived in Paris. And he died at the height of after many years of struggle, obscurity. He reached fame, and then he was diagnosed with a terminal disease, and he died. It kind of follows that kind of narrative in this. The fictional character who's based on Roberto Bolaño, he struggles and through despair, and finally he achieves fame, and then he's diagnosed with this terminal disease and he dies. And during the novel he marries and falls in love and has children and becomes a literary sensation, and then he finds out that he's going to die. But anyway, I'm enjoying it. I'm not saying everybody will, but I've really enjoyed it. And I'm still reading Rasero by Francisco Rebolledo. I'm really enjoying this. I kind of read this in the evenings. There's certain things I can only read in the afternoons, and what I usually read in the afternoons is books like this, which I've showed you, The Hour of Fate, Theodore Roosevelt and J.P. Morgan, The Battle to Transform American Capitalism. I kind of read this from like 1, 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the afternoons. I can't really read, for some reason, certain books in the afternoons. I don't know what it is. It's just the mood I'm in. I like to read more nonfiction, more historical American history and things like that. So I was reading this. I got a book. I told you I was getting books in the mail, and I got this. As you all know, I'm a student of American Transcendentalism. I've shown you my Ralph Waldo Emerson collection, my Thoreau, the whole American Transcendentalism, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Herman Melville, Emily Dickinson, Margaret Fuller, that whole time period. And this is a new book, and I got it in the mail. This is called The Transcendentalists and the World by Robert A. Gross. So I got this in the mail, and I've been reading a little bit of it, like about 40 pages I've read of this. I was reading I've been reading off and on since it came out. This came out in 2017. I've read a couple of biographies on Henry David Thoreau, and this is by Laura Dassow Walls, and I've been reading this off and on. I pick it up when I'm in an American Transcendentalist kind of state of being, and since I've read other biographies of Henry David Thoreau, and I've read histories of American Transcendentalism, and I've read biographies of Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I've read his, in the New York Review books, they published selections from the diaries of Henry David Thoreau, which I've shown. And I've read Walden many times since over the years, and his other writings, Civil Disobedience. And anyway, so I'm very familiar with him, and so I can read this off and on and not lose the narrative of his life. The reason why I'm reading this, I've been reading this for a while. This one, The Hour of Fate, this came out in 2020. I want to finish this. I'm almost finished with this, and then I'm going to start reading this one. The Approaching Storm, Roosevelt, Wilson, Addams, Their Clash Over America's Future by Neil Lanctot. So once I finish this, I plan to read this in the afternoons. This is what I usually read in the afternoons. And yeah, as I've said in many videos, I'm a student of American history. I'm an American. I read American church history. I like reading about 19th century America. I like reading about the American Puritans, the colonial period. I'm not really into the American Revolution. I'm not into the biographies of the Founding Fathers, but I do read a lot of American Christianity, about Jonathan Edwards, the Great Awakening, the Second Revival, things like that. I'm interested in the Gilded Age, and that's why this covers this. Theodore Roosevelt was around the time of the Gilded Age, the great time in American history. I also got this book in the mail. This goes along with this. The scenes from the life. Let me see, how's it go? It goes Scenes from the Life of a City, Corruption and Conscience in the Old New York by Eric Homberger. I got this in the mail. And I also been reading off and on for a couple of years this one, which is around the time of Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, Coolidge, McKinney, things like that. This came out in... This is called The House of Truth, a Washington Political Salon and the Foundations of American Liberalism by Brad Snyder. This came out in 2017. So I read this off and on too in the afternoon. Sometimes I read it in the evenings. Depends upon my mood. But all these things fit together. All these books, everything fits together. Everything is part of American history, and I've been reading American history for, I don't know, 50 years. I studied American history in college and in seminary, and I'm always reading about American history, always reading about Henry Thoreau. I'm always reading Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm always reading about the American Transcendentalists. I collect books on New York City, the history of New York City and New York. I also got this book in the mail today. I came across this. I had another book by this writer. His name is Francisco Goldman. I had his book, Say Her Name, which was published in 2011. And I came across this somewhere, and I ordered it used, The Interior Circuit, a Mexico City Chronicle by Francisco Goldman. It's like his memoir about living in Mexico City and the history of Mexico City, the crime, the art, the music, the people. I've always been interested in major cities: Mexico City, Paris, France, London, England, Berlin, Germany, Venice, Austria, Istanbul, Rome, things like that. San Francisco, California, where I'm from. So I like reading about the history in novels and histories of major cities of the world. Tokyo, Shanghai, Bombay, India, things like that. Cairo, Egypt, major rivers of the world, like the Mississippi, the Blue Nile, the White Nile, the Congo River, the Columbia River, things like that. I'm interested in rivers and mountains and major cities, and I'm interested in just everything that goes on in God's wonderful world that's fallen in sin. I'm not denying the fallenness of man, but I'm interested in a lot of things. Nature, world history, the rise and fall of kingdoms. But mostly, you all know, I'm in the mornings and on weekends, I read my Christian books, which I've shown to you in my past videos, and I read the Bible. I'm a Christian, and so I look at not only the history of mankind, but primarily the history is a history of redemption and salvation. When God's gathering his people, and he'll bring in the new creation and the new world. This world is passing away, and God will bring in a new world. Things like that. So anyway, that's what I'm reading these last couple of days. I did go to thrift stores with my wife. We didn't go to thrift stores. My wife and I, we decided it was almost the end of autumn here, the autumn colors. So we drove out in the country, and we stopped in Finnville, which is south of us, and we went to their used book room, the Finnville Library, and I got 2 books, and one I already had. And I got books coming in the mail. I got a huge book haul from the Book Nook, our local library used bookstore, which I'll show. So, but I just want to stop by and tell you what I'm reading tonight, what I've been reading the last couple of days, and kind of things I dip in and out of throughout my day. I haven't mentioned how I'm doing psychologically, spiritually, mentally. Tomorrow I have my 5th or 6th session with my therapist. I haven't seen him in 5 weeks. And I think I'm doing okay. I still have that buzzing in my ear constantly, which is very irritating. I forgot how you spell it. It's kind of like, it's not tinnitus. Tinnitus is what I have. And I have my ups and downs. I try to stay positive, not give in to negativity. I try to stay in an attitude of prayer throughout the day. My wife is leaving next week. As you know, for a whole week she'll be gone. I'll be by myself. I don't look forward to it. I'm wondering how I'll do. I just have to see how I do, if I can, because my wife is always singing, she's always praying, she's always upbeat, she's very positive. I always call her my sunshine. She's my, she cheers me on in the race. So when she's gone, it's just me. And of course, as I said, I'm not alone. I'm in the presence of my Heavenly Father. I'm indwelt by the Holy Spirit. Jesus Christ loves me, and I know He'll watch over me, and I'm just going to have to exercise faith. So I hope you're having a good reading week. Thank you for your last comments. Thank you for your gracious words and your patience with me, and for all your kindness, and for all your just being out there. So I hope you're all doing well. Thank you once again for the new subscribers. And until next time, bye.